You are destroying your engine. Every single morning, on every cold start, your engine gets a little bit worse. And most drivers will never find out until the repair bill lands, the engine locks up, and suddenly they are Googling what an engine rebuild costs. But somewhere out there, a delivery driver just rolled past 481,000 miles on a 5-year-old Corolla. Another man hit 1.6 million miles on a Tacoma. And a New Zealander is still driving a 1993 Corolla on the original engine past 1.24 million miles. These people are not lucky. They know something you do not. And after this video, so will you. The man who drove to the moon and back, twice. This is Graham Hebley. He is a New Zealand delivery contractor, and 6 days a week, he covers the Wellington to New Plymouth route, logging almost 5,000 kilometers every single week. That is roughly the equivalent of driving coast to coast across the US and then back every single month. By March 2022, his 1993 Toyota Corolla had quietly crossed 2 million kilometers on the original engine. No rebuild, no transmission swap, no drivetrain overhaul. The same components that left the factory in 1993 were still turning over 3 decades later, while most cars the same age were sitting in scrapyards. Then there is Mike Neal. His 2008 Toyota Tacoma hit 1.625 million miles, delivering medical supplies across the US. The engine got replaced once at 880,000 miles. The transmission held until 1.3 million. His spark plugs lasted over 700,000 miles before they needed changing. Think about the last time you skipped a service because it felt inconvenient. And in December 2024, a driver named Michael Rhodes uploaded a video showing his 2019 Corolla hybrid odometer at 481,805 miles after just 5 years of ownership. The battery pack had never been replaced. He was doing around 700 miles every single working day. Here's what is genuinely wild. Not one of these was a special car, not modified, not even hand-built. Every single one was a regular mass-produced Japanese car you can find on any used lot today. But the average American trades their car in at around 150,000 miles. According to Consumer Reports, most drivers walk away right when the car is finally hitting its stride. They leave hundreds of thousands of miles on the table because nobody ever told them what was actually killing their engines. It is not mileage. It is not age, and it is definitely not bad luck. The country where neglecting your car is basically a crime. In Japan, there is a government-mandated vehicle inspection called Shaken. It has been law since 1951. Every car must pass it every 2 years, and new cars get a 3-year grace period before their first check. And when we say comprehensive, we mean the kind of thorough that makes most Western mechanics genuinely uncomfortable. Inspectors check brake efficiency, underbody corrosion, suspension, steering play, emissions. Every light, every wiper, and they physically verify that the engine number matches the chassis number on the official registration file. Fail a single category and the car stays put. Not tomorrow, not after you fix it at home. It stays. Nobody tells you what the emissions test actually involves. A probe goes directly into the exhaust pipe while the engine runs, measuring carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and hydrocarbons against limits set by Japan's Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism. A catalytic converter that is even slightly underperforming? Fail. Borderline brake pads? Fail. There is no gray area, and there is no arguing your way through it. And this is where it gets expensive, because preparing for Shaken costs serious money. Many Japanese owners choose to sell their cars just before a major inspection is due. That single decision floods the international used car market with near-perfect vehicles at low mileage. Countries across Africa, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific have built entire automotive import economies, specifically around catching these pre-shaken Japanese cars before anyone else does. But here's the layer nobody talks about. The inspection system created something far more powerful than legal compliance. It built a culture where how you maintain your car reflects your character as a person. Japanese drivers do not wait for warning lights. They do not skip services. They do not ignore odd noises, because in Japan, that behavior says something about who you are. That culture is what produces the million-mile cars. But knowing the culture does not save your engine. What saves it is what Japanese drivers do every single morning before they pull out of the driveway. And you are probably not doing it. The 60-second habit that separates 150,000 miles from 500,000. Every cold start is an attack on your engine. Not a dramatic one, a quiet one. The kind that stacks up over years and thousands of starts. Until one morning the engine sounds different, and then it costs you everything. Here's what is actually happening. When your engine is cold, the oil sitting in the pan is thick and slow-moving. The moment you turn the key, the engine is already in motion. The crankshaft is spinning. The camshaft bearings are rotating. The cylinder walls are in contact with the pistons, and the oil has not reached any of them yet. In those first 30 to 60 seconds, you have metal moving against metal with almost no lubrication between them. Every hard acceleration from a cold start multiplies that damage significantly. Nobody tells you this in the owner's manual. Japanese high-mileage drivers let the engine idle for 30 to 60 seconds before moving. That pause allows oil pressure to build and lubricant to reach every corner of the engine before it goes under load. The first few minutes of driving are smooth and gentle, keeping RPMs low while the oil climbs to full operating temperature. But this is not the old 10-minute driveway idle. That approach is actually counterproductive. At an extended cold idle, combustion becomes inefficient and fuel washes down the cylinder walls, stripping the oil film instead of building it. 60 seconds of idle, then move gently. That is the entire target. Beyond the startup, high-mileage Japanese drivers run fuel system cleaner every 6,200 miles. Dirty injectors misfire fuel delivery, creating uneven combustion pressure inside the cylinders. That irregular stress hits the exact components already absorbing cold start damage every single morning. Smooth acceleration, early braking, and RPMs kept in the engine's comfortable zone. This habit costs nothing, takes 60 seconds. Most people will never do it, but the cold start is only the beginning. What comes next is where most engines actually lose the fight, checking the fluids. This is where engines die. Oil changes get all the attention, but your engine is running on 6 different fluid systems, and most people have never touched 5 of them. Transmission fluid is the quiet killer. When it burns and degrades, it does not just make gear shifts feel rough, it actively eats the internal components of the gearbox. Full transmission failure runs 5 figures in most cases, and it catches most owners completely off guard. In Japan, transmission fluid gets replaced on a fixed schedule, every 2 years or around 30,000 miles, whichever comes first. No waiting, no exceptions. Coolant follows the same discipline. Internal cooling system corrosion accounts for roughly 25% of engine failures globally, not a fringe problem. A quarter of all engine failures coming from a fluid most people never think about until the temperature gauge starts moving in the wrong direction. Japanese high-mileage drivers flush it on schedule. Brake fluid, rubber hoses, and serpentine belts are all inspected and replaced before failure, not in response to it. And this is where the financial gap between these drivers and everyone else becomes very clear. These same drivers stick with one trusted mechanic who knows their car's full history. A mechanic who has been seeing your vehicle for years, notices things a fresh mechanic walks right past. A sound that changed slightly between seasons, a pressure reading that shifted, a vibration that appeared recently. Switching garages to save $40 up front routinely costs thousands in missed early diagnoses. The logbook closes the entire loop. Every service, every fluid change, every unusual noise gets recorded. One driver caught a failing timing chain tensioner because he had written down a faint tick weeks earlier. The repair cost $80. Left unnoticed, it would have been a full engine rebuild running several thousand. There is one more thing to cover. Something happening right now in the car market that changes the entire picture. The industry does not want your car to last this long. A 2024 Reuters study found that Americans are now keeping their vehicles for an average of 12.6 years. That is a record high. A decade ago, that number sat closer to 10 years. The trend is moving in one very clear direction, and the auto industry built its entire business model around the opposite one. Dealerships depend on you buying new every 3 to 5 years. Fleet turnover is what drives their margins. When a car reliably hits 500,000 miles on standard maintenance, that cycle gets seriously disrupted, and the industry knows it. The hybrid era is making this harder for manufacturers and better for long-term owners. Michael Rhodes' Corolla Hybrid hit 481,805 miles in 5 years with 0 battery replacements. The U.S. government projected 52 miles per gallon combined for that model. At his pace, Rhodes burned through roughly 9,265 gallons over 5 years. A conventional 25 miles per gallon car covering that same distance would have consumed close to 19,000 gallons, nearly double. On maintenance costs alone, Toyota ranks first on CARAGE's list of cheapest brands to own over 10 years. Toyota owners average $441 per year in repairs and maintenance. Ford owners average $775. That cost gap, extended across a decade of ownership, is not a small difference. It is the price of a second vehicle. Most people watching this right now own a car, sitting somewhere between 80,000 and 150,000 miles. According to every habit covered in this video, that car is nowhere near finished. It just needs someone who treats it like it is not. Here's what all of it adds up to. A 500,000-mile engine is not something you buy. It is what you build through what you do every single morning before you leave the driveway. 60 seconds of idle, fluids replaced before failure, a logbook that catches the $80 fix before it becomes a $1,000 disaster, a driving style that keeps the engine in its comfortable range. The cars that last are not rare. The habits that get them there are. And that is the difference between a 150,000 miles car and a 500,000 miles car.